Genie, a Scientific Tragedy by RUSS RYMER. This is the tragic, real-life story of a girl who spent the first 13 years of life strapped to an infant's potty seat. Susan Curtis's doctoral dissertation called Genie, a psycholinguistic study of modern-day wild child, gives an accurate summation of Genie's home life, and I will read that now. In the house, Genie was confined to a small bedroom, harnessed to an infant's potty seat. Genie's father sewed the harness himself. Unclad except for the harness, Genie was left to sit on that chair. Unable to move anything except her fingers and hands, feet, and toes, Genie was left to sit up, tied up, hour after hour, often into the night, day after day, month after month, year after year. At night, when Genie was not forgotten, she was removed from her harness only to be placed into another restraining garment, a sleeping bag, which her father had fashioned to hold Genie's arms stationary, allegedly to prevent her from taking it off. In effect, it was a straitjacket. Therein constrained, Genie was put into an infant's crib with wire mesh sides and a wire mesh cover overhead. Caged by night, harnessed by day, Genie was left to somehow endure the hours and years of her life. There was little for her to listen to. There was no TV or radio in the house. Genie's bedroom was in the back of the house, next to the master bedroom and a bathroom. The father had an intolerance for noise, so what little conversation there was between family members in the rest of the house was kept at a low volume, except for moments of anger, when her father swore. Genie did not hear any language outside her door, and thus received practically no auditory stimulation of any kind, aside from bathroom noises. There were 2 windows in her room, and one of them was kept open several inches. She may, therefore, have occasionally heard an airplane overhead or some other traffic or environmental noises. But set in the back of the house, Genie would not have heard much noise from the street. Hungry and forgotten, Genie would sometimes attempt to attract attention by making noise. Angered, her father would often beat her for doing so. In fact, there was a large piece of wood left in the corner of Genie's room, which her father used solely to beat her whenever she made any sound. Genie learned to keep silent and to suppress all vocalization. Just as there was little to listen to, there was not much for Genie to touch or look at. The only piece of furniture in her room were the crib and the potty seat. There were no carpet on the floor, no pictures on the walls. There were 2 windows, but they were covered up except for a few inches at the top, of which Genie could see the sky from one and the side of a neighboring house from the other. There was 1 dim, bare ceiling light bulb, a wall of closets, and another wall with the bedroom door. The room was a dirty salmon color. Occasionally, 2 plastic raincoats, one clear and one yellow, hung outside the closet of the room, and once in a while Genie was allowed to play with them. In addition, Genie was sometimes given partly edited copies of the TV log, with pictures that her father considered too suggestive removed, like women advertising swimming pools, etc. She was also given an occasional empty cottage cheese container, empty thread spools, and the like. These were Genie's toys, and together with the floor, her harness, and her body, they were her primary sources of visual and tactile stimulation. Genie's diet was equally limited. She was given baby foods, cereals, an occasional soft-boiled egg. Under pressure from her father to keep contact with Genie to a minimum, she was fed hurriedly, usually by having food stuffed into her mouth. Should Genie choke and spit out some of her food, she would have her face rubbed in it. Genie's father was convinced that Genie would die. He was positive that she would not live past the age of 12. He was so convinced of this that he promised his wife that if the child did live beyond 12, the mother could seek help for Genie. But age 12 came and went. Genie survived, but the father reneged on his promise. The mother, too blind to even dial the phone and forbidden under threat of death to contact her own parents, who lived in the area, felt helpless to do anything. Finally, when Genie was 13 and a half years old, Genie's mother, after a violent argument with her husband in which she threatened to leave unless he called her parents, succeeded in getting her husband to telephone her mother. Later that day, Genie's mother took Genie and left her home and her husband. The book is mostly concerned with linguistics, the study of language. Genie's situation fascinated scientists because it was a case that could prove whether language was innate and if it was restricted by a critical period. I think this book is about extreme child abuse and exploitation from scientists. It seemed as if she were an experiment, someone they could poke and prod instead of have compassion for. So if you're interested in reading about a very sad situation, something that I would not hope on my worst enemies, then read this book. Other than that, I would say stay away from it. Talk to you later. Bye.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday,